Hello, I would like to take you on a journey into the world of professional wrestling. This is the Rasslin Report. Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rasslin Report, where I talk nothing but my passion, and that's wrestling. I'm your host, John Ale, and I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this Monday morning, wherever and however you are watching this. I don't have my trusty mic with me this week. Things didn't go according to plan. Things are busted, so I don't know what will come to the future in terms of a microphone, but I've got something in the backup. So we're gonna have the show go on anyway, as Vincent Kennedy McMahon would probably say. So this was a big week this week, right? We have a lot of big questions going into next week, and especially into the Elimination Chamber. The biggest question we have is what's in this mystery box that we got revealed on Monday Night Raw, and who or what could be inside of it. But before we really get into that kind of speculation, I'll go ahead and kick off Monday Night Raw because it'll help play into this stuff. We're just 2 weeks away from Elimination Chambers, so that'll be a fun time. I'm excited for it. I think it has potential to deliver. I think WWE can knock it out of the park. We'll have to see how it goes. All right, so we'll go ahead and kick off Raw with our Yeet Man, our favorite Yeet Man, Jey Uso, and his twin brother Jimmy coming out to the ring, yeeting and all. But as they're doing their entrance, Paul Heyman comes out with the Vision and interrupts. Austin Theory is very upset about how the qualifying match went last week with him, being it now the second time a hooded figure has come out and screwed over a member of the Vision. Paul Heyman demands that Raw General Manager Adam Pearce, he gets Big Bronson Reed to be put in the chamber match. Paul Heyman wants Bronson Reed to just be thrown in the chamber match as some sort of compromise for all this crap that's been happening with this hooded figure. Adam Pearce comes out and replies that he has no problem putting Bronson Reed in that chamber match as long as he's earned it, and books him in a qualifying match before next week. And so we will see Bronson Reed in a qualifying match next week for an opportunity to be put into the chamber match. But as things continue, LA Knight comes out. He's got a mic in hand, and you already know he's going to cook if he's got a mic in his hand. He says none of the Vision is going to WrestleMania, and he prays for Bronson Reed to get into the chamber match so he can, quote, stick his head in between the bars and kick him square in the ass about 38,000 to 40,000 times. Yeah. He talks about the stuff the Vision put him through by putting him through the windshield earlier and all of that. And Logan Paul, of course, wants to rub this particular part in, the fact that they put him through a windshield. But then LA Knight responds with the fact that Logan Paul looks like a broccoli-haired bitch and wants Adam Pearce to book a 6-man tag team match with himself and the Usos versus the Vision, which is Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and Big Bronson Reed. And with the go-ahead, Adam Pearce books the match for our main event of the evening, LA Knight and the Usos. Oh wait, no, it's not the main event, I'm sorry. It's the opening match of the night. So we kind of get right into this 6-man tag. But I like the fact that they chose to keep exploring this dynamic with LA Knight and the Usos. Because like back in last year, there was a lot of tension between LA Knight and Jey Uso. So I like that they're trying to explore it and maybe see what they can do as a team. They had good control of this thing early on. Commentary was talking about Logan Paul's selling of a $16 million Pokemon card, as if anybody who makes an average income is looking at that like, whoa, big deal. That's just rich people problems. I couldn't tell you why anybody would buy a $16 million Pokemon card, but I guess if you had $16 million, you could go for that. Bronson Reed eventually takes this thing over and beats LA Knight up a little bit before he comes back and gives a hot tag to Yeet Man Jey Uso. And once that happens, chaos ensues, and everyone is in and out of the ring brawling. This thing's getting chaotic. Logan Paul eventually hits Jimmy Uso with a big right hand, which sets up Bronson Reed to hit a tsunami on Jimmy Uso for the win. So the Vision picks up actually a huge win over the Usos. Not one that's expected, actually. After the win, Logan Paul starts talking trash to Michael Cole on commentary and grabs his headset. And while he's continuing to talk shit in the mic and blah, 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 we get another appearance from the hooded figure. He delivers a hit and run to Logan Paul as well. So now this is the third time, the third member of the Vision attacked by this member of the Hood, this black hooded guy. We don't know who he is. We don't know what he's doing and why he's going after the Vision. It's assumed by a lot of people that the answer, obliviously, is Seth Rollins, due to being a former member of the Vision, former leader of the Vision, and the fact that he was betrayed by those same three guys that have been attacked. It only makes sense. I think that our former visionary of this group is going to want his revenge. So, the mystery surrounding the hooded figure continues. We do not know. We do not know. We cut to a backstage segment where Adam Pearce sees this mysterious package that I was talking to you about in the beginning. It's like the size of a person, and it says, delivered to WWE, do not open until the date of the Elimination Chamber, which is February the 28th. He's very confused as to what this package is and asks the security guy what's in this crate. And the guy, whose name is Eli, apparently, he literally is just not helpful. He just keeps answering the same thing over and over again. Like, I don't know what's in it. I don't know what's in it. So, he's no help. So, Adam Pearce just asks for it to be shipped over to SmackDown for Nick Aldis to deal with it. But on his way out, on his way away from the package and away from this situation, El Grande 2 and his Americano gang pull up, and they are upset about the fact that the original El Grande Americano is getting a qualifying match next week instead of him. And Pearce says all the matches are finalized for the qualifyings, and what is done is done. But if El Grande 2 wants an Intercontinental Championship match, that's also what he wanted, an Intercontinental Championship opportunity, if he wants this title opportunity, he'll give him one tonight. So he's going to have a chance to be the number one contender, El Grande 2. It seems like they finally have a direction for him. So that's good. Is he going to win the Intercontinental title? No. But, I mean, I guess if you really want to legitimize this story, make it something, then I guess that's how you would do it. By giving him a legitimate title. And plus, Ludwig Kaiser deserves a title, so I'm always going to root for that, I guess. Even if it's El Grande for him. So, we'll get a match, number one contendership for the Intercontinental Championship between El Grande 2 and Penta. So we get to our first Elimination Chamber qualifying match of the night. This is for the women. We got Bayley and Asuka and Natty. 3 all-time greats. Let's just keep it a buck. I like all 3 of these women. So it's really tough. All these are tough when they book these loaded triple threats and you don't know who to cheer for. But I really like how they're booking Natty. She has such like a rabid dog mixed with MMA fighter kind of style. I really loved it. She really needs an edge like this. I think she's always needed an edge like this. It's something that can benefit her. And this is a nice, scrappy match. I like how all three of these women are just relentless with their offense. They all seem to have a very big pursuit to make it to the chamber. Um, Natty locks in her sharpshooter on Asuka, but Bayley breaks things up and hits Asuka with her Bayley to belly. And going for the pin does Bayley. Asuka kicks out at 2. And then Asuka hits Bayley with her Asuka lock submission hold, which almost passed her out. But instead of passing out, Bayley tapped out, which gives Asuka the win and puts Asuka in the Elimination Chamber match with Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, and Alexa Bliss. So that leaves 4 spots that have been filled and 2 spots left to be filled. But Natty, as if her night couldn't get any worse after losing, Maxine Dupree comes out and starts attacking her after what she did to Maxine last week. So that feud between Natty and Maxine is far from over, and it showed here tonight. We cut to another backstage segment where Adam Pearce is talking to Oba Femi, the Rula, who is still a free agent and is trying to get him to sign a contract on Raw. He's been bouncing back and forth. Both general managers have issued him a contract to sign whatever brand. And so Adam Pearce is trying to say that, quote, Arula needs a flagship. So he's really trying to sell the idea on Obafemi being on Raw. But as he's taking the offer, he's taking the contract, he walks away, and then Rusev, the Bulgarian brute, confronts him, and we get this very intense stare-off between the two. Maybe we'll see a matchup between the two on a Raw eventually. I love Rusev. He's not beating Obafemi, but, I guess it's credible opponents for Oba. So you gotta have that on your way up to the top. So now we kick off to an interview segment. This was honestly one of my favorite bits of the night. I really enjoyed it. Sorry, I got my water. So Liv Morgan is still undecided on who she's going to face at WrestleMania. So Michael Cole is interviewing Liv and Dom. Dom just comes in. It was supposed to be Michael Cole and Liv. But then Dom just shows up saying, "Oh, I'm supposed to be a part of this interview, blah, blah, blah." Like, okay, dude. But we start the interview off with Cole asking Liv the same question we've been trying to find the answer to every single week, which is, who will she face at WrestleMania? Liv stays firm on the fact that she is not rushing this decision and that she didn't grind for 10 plus years to let this opportunity slip away. As she was talking about this, Women's World Champion Stephanie Vaquer storms in. She's probably upset that Liv still can't make her decision, and it's obvious she's messing with everybody, trying to get in the champ's head, one of their heads at least. And then she comes barging in and just starts yelling in Spanish. I'll put the translation up here. It's really good stuff. And I'll actually, you know what? I'm not going to put it up. I'm actually going to recite it. I'm going to recite it word for word. This is an open and closed quote of what Stephanie Vaquer told Liv Morgan in this scathing, I guess, rant is what we would really call it. But here we go. You talking about hard work? What the hell are you talking about? You haven't sacrificed anything. WWE has handed you everything. You started your career here. You have the best doctors, the best trainers. You have everything. You want to talk about sacrifice? I was born in Chile, where wrestling doesn't exist, and still traveled the world. Japan, Mexico, Latin America, Europe, conquered everything. You should be ashamed in hiding behind Judgment Day, by hiding behind a man. You need to hide yourself behind a man. But I'll tell you something. I went through hell and made it mine just to make it to WWE and become champion. This championship means more to me than just a title. It's for all the little girls and women that haven't had the opportunity but still succeeded. Live, if you choose me, you will not win because I will show you what a real champion is. She walks away from that. Just drops an absolute bomb and walks away. And Liv's response to this is tears. I mean, she starts bawling out. She cannot believe half the things Stephanie Vaquera just told her. And Dominic, meanwhile, was telling all this to her in her ear, being the translator. So she's obviously hurt by these words. Maybe she even took a little bit of solace in those words. Maybe she took a bit of those words to heart. We don't know. But this was a very, very good segment. Stephanie Vaquera was allowed to shine here, and she was allowed to really show off why she's a star. For sure. We then cut to the World Heavyweight Champion, CM Punk. He makes his way out to the ring and says that Raw General Manager Adam Pearce is mad at him about last week and jeopardizing the main event of WrestleMania by accepting Finn Balor's challenge and by facing Finn Balor at the Elimination Chamber for the World Heavyweight Championship. Punk doesn't believe that he's doing this, but he's making his title reign better by being a fighting champion and by being there for the people and by being a people's champion, not trying to be like The Rock or anything by saying that. He's a champion of the people. He's a man of the people. That's who CM Punk is in 2026. He said Finn Balor deserved the title shot about a month ago, but he's getting another one because he has earned an ass beating after what he did in his match with AJ Styles a couple weeks ago. After the match with AJ Styles, Punk was attacked by Finn Balor. Finn Balor hit a GTS, did the whole thing. Episode 1 of my podcast talks about what Finn Balor did to CM Punk to set up this match. But then Finn comes out to confront him with fellow Judgment Day members Dominic Mysterio and a returning JD McDonough. And they circle the ring around Punk like a pack of dogs, and Finn says they're not here to hurt Punk, but just to tell him, due to all of his worldwide wrestling experience throughout his career, and for beating Roman Reigns on his first night a decade ago, really makes Finn the best in the world, and not Punk. These achievements that Finn did in 2016 and 2015 were some of the best in his WWE career. My guy was firing on all cylinders back in that time. But he wants to get back to that time. He wants to get back to that point of prominence where he was before that injury with Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. The one that took him out and tore his shoulder. Yeah, or his pec. I think it was pec. I don't remember what it was for sure. But since that injury, it's been hard for Finn to get back up to that mountain. Punk then replies to this by saying that, Finn replies by saying that if he beats Punk at Chamber for the title, he's not jeopardizing the main event of WrestleMania, but he's making it better. He's only making it better. By saying that Punk is jeopardizing the main event of WrestleMania by facing Finn seems like an insult to Finn. I'm a downgrade? I'm not a downgrade. I'm an upgrade. That's what Finn believes, at least. Punk then replies with the fact that all these great things Finn did in the past, like being the first Universal Champion, being NXT Champion, and being on top of the world, he did all those things by himself, and he didn't do those things with the Judgment Day. And all he's really managed to do with the Judgment Day is win tag team titles, and that's great and all, but you had singles success. You have won the United States. No, he hasn't. He's won the Intercontinental title. He hasn't won the United States title, I don't believe. So he's only won the Universal title and the Intercontinental title. So he did all that by himself. And Punk says that Finn used to mean something to the people. And now he's just a lackey in the Judgment Day cogwheel. He then calls out Dominic Mysterio for having 2 titles that he never defends, which is absolutely true. How can you call yourself the greatest of anything if you never defend it? You know? Kayfabe. I had Kayfabe hate Dom. Dom's the worst. He's the worst. And then he gets on JD for needing help getting in the ring because of the size of his head. He's always gotten head-sized jokes his whole career. And if there's anybody that can relate to that, it's me. Like, I get you, JD. I'm sorry that you get roasted for your head size. It's not our fault. It's not our fault. Punk then assumes the Judgment Day are about to jump him 3-on-1, so he turns his back, puts his arms up, and lets it happen. He begs them to do it. But Finn holds them back, and Punk walks away. But before throwing his mic directly at Finn, square in the chest. So Finn, interestingly, holds back the Judgment Day from jumping on Punk when they had the chance to. So this is very interesting stuff here. You cut to a backstage segment where Byron Saxton is interviewing the women's tag team champions, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, about the grueling match they went through last Friday night. With Nia Jax and Lash Legend, the match that tore the house down, putting people through barricades, and I mean, they were killing it. They were killing it. Rhea gives them credit, Lash and Legend, but they got a little carried away and that they failed. And that's how it happens. It's natural in the business. Kairi Sane and Asuka, the Kabuki Warriors, interrupts, and Kairi says the chamber is over now and that Asuka is in it and will make sure that she becomes champion. So now that Asuka's in the Elimination Chamber, they're bragging about their victory to Rhea and Io, the people who beat them for the women's tag team titles. And they're saying that Asuka is going to make her way to WrestleMania now that she has made the chamber. So now we get to our number 1 contenders match for the Intercontinental Championship. We got El Grande 2 versus Penta. From the outset, the match carried an underlying sense of instability, with the lingering presence of the Americano faction hovering over everything. Penta entered with his usual burst of energy, immediately trying to dictate the pace to his structure and signature high-flying offense. His movements were sharp and explosive. His sequences naturally pull it off. The crowd loved it all, and it felt like he might wrestle the match entirely on his terms, but the momentum never fully had a chance to settle. Outside distractions from the Americano gang became the defining element of this match, and they created a sense of unease, and that eventually ended with the original El Grande coming out. Ole! He seems to come out in every match that El Grande 2 is in. I imagine, I really do think that we'll be getting both the El Grandes in a match at WrestleMania 42. Probably in a mask versus mask. If you want to tell this story with a conclusion, mask versus mask at WrestleMania. Loser takes their mask off. I think that's how you finish this story of the El Grande Americanos and put it in the goddamn dirt, because that's where it's gotta go. We just gotta bury it. All right, so we get to another backstage segment. Penta became number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship. So we'll be seeing Penta and Dominic Mysterio at some point. We cut to another backstage segment where we're in the Judgment Day clubhouse, and Liv Morgan is still distraught over what happened earlier. Dominic needs to get ready for his qualifying match, so he asks Raquel Rodriguez to watch over Liv while he's gone. Meanwhile, JD McDonough is telling Finn Balor, who is clearly distraught over the events that occurred earlier. He's telling Finn Balor that CM Punk is only trying to get in his head and that they had the opportunity to hurt Punk in the ring and that they should have taken it. Finn doesn't want it to end that way, and he wants to go down like he wants to go do it alone. He doesn't want help. He doesn't need help. He wants to do it alone. And he thought that JD, of all people, would understand that. And so, with that being said, he walks away, and everybody's clearly upset. So, Finn is trying to prove something, and he's locked in on trying to do so. So, as much as we really want Finn Balor to walk away with the World Heavyweight Championship at the Elimination Chamber, it's not going to happen, right? But maybe this will be the defining moment in turning him into a penultimate good guy at the Elimination Chamber, and maybe later down the line he can get that world title. So I think he deserves one. I think he deserves an actual shot with one, considering he never got to. This is probably my favorite segment of the night. AJ Lee comes out. You know, she talks about how fun it was to get under Becky Lynch's skin last week and see how angry she got. And now, because of it, she's number one contender for her women's Intercontinental Championship. But she was reminded that Becky is not playing games when she ran AJ into the ring post last week. The last time she's had a title around her waist was when women were still being called divas, and not much was ever to come out of being a, quote, WWE diva. And saying that she made the WWE Divas title when she held it in 2015, which she did. I mean, she was probably the greatest Divas champion of all time. She made that title important. She made people care about it. And I think that's part of maybe what started the whole women's revolution, right? And giving women more of a chance to shine on television. And that they were once given. So I would definitely say that's the case. AJ talks about all the other potential matchups she wants to have with the women in the locker room, but, quote, all roads lead back to Becky. But then when she thanks Becky, because maybe without her, you know, she actually thanks Becky, which I found very interesting. She thanks Becky because maybe without her, this whole journey back to the WWE wouldn't have happened. And if she walks out of the chamber Intercontinental Champion when she faces her, that is confirmed, by the way. AJ Lee and Becky Lynch will go one-on-one for the Women's Intercontinental Championship at the Elimination Chamber on February the 28th. But then she calls Becky out to the ring, so now she's done talking. She's ready to fight. But Becky comes out, and she says that this isn't an opportunity for AJ Lee to get a title again. This is an opportunity to give her a retirement match that, quote, she never had nor deserved in front of her friends and family dumb enough to like you, and let them cry tears while I push your hearse. She's brutal. She then says for the last 10 years making history, while she's been making history for the last 10 years, winning championships and main eventing WrestleMania, while AJ's been writing comic books and doing little side projects, I guess. Like, what's the problem with comic books? AJ's about done with the talking and asks Becky to come throw hands in the ring now and save the title match for the Chamber. Becky originally says, no, I will not fight. But AJ says she will even allow Becky to throw the first swing. So this entices Becky enough to at least get on the apron, but not all the way in the ring. But as she's getting in the ring, she's being held back by the might of God and by her own quote unquote cowardness. She's not a coward. She's just trying to keep the two. She's trying to keep the two healthy for Elimination Chamber. No excuses. Okay, even though she could have thrown hands, she had the first swing. She's just trying to keep everybody 100%, to not have any excuses left on the table for why anybody lost at Elimination Chamber. And so Becky backs off of this challenge, even though AJ's like, swing, Becky, swing. She is really wanting Becky to swing, but Becky will not. And we'll save the physicality maybe for either next week or for the Elimination Chamber. So I think this is a really good segment. I think both ladies are doing a good job. Doing the best they can do, trying to build this thing up, on a tight leash and all that. We cut to our last backstage segment of the night. And it features the Vision, who are furious with Adam Pearce, particularly Austin Theory, who is so over this masked man. He has now attacked Logan Paul, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Austin Theory. All four of them, the Vision. He just wants this to end, and Pearce wants it to end just as bad as they do. And we don't know. We don't know what this masked man wants, and it's causing a problem with main events, and it's gonna probably be a problem next week when he takes out Bronson Reed. I can only imagine the masked man will come out next week and attack Bronson Reed. It's so interesting, and I'm sure we'll end up getting a reveal at the Elimination Chamber, which I think everybody wants it to be Seth Rollins, right? But who knows? We then cut to our main event, which is the men's Elimination Chamber qualifying match, which features Jevon Evans, Gunther, and Dominic Mysterio, the Intercontinental Champion. So, this was a fantastic showcase of unpredictability momentum shifts. I really like how all three of these guys got in there and got it done. Heading into the match, Gunther was seen as a clear favorite because he's the career killer. He's put Cena and Styles on the mat on the shelf, and he's been tearing it up. Like everybody figured he'd end up going to the chamber. His dominant, relentless offense made him look that way. His chops are some of the best in the business, best chops in the business. Jevon Evans came out with his usual explosive style, hitting creative, high-impact offense, including this really cool, corkscrew kick. He is just so talented, bro. He's the future. Because not only does he have the charisma and the energy of a good hero, babyface, good guy, he's got that in-ring ability that just makes you go, whoa. And that's, as long as you can get that kind of reaction, you're going to be all right in this business. Dominic Mysterio played his sneaky opportunity role as always, like his Eddie Guerrero inspired kind of lie, cheat, and steal kind of offense. He looked good. He always looks good. He capitalizes on openings when they appeared. He even grabbed the ring bell hammer at one point, but he was about to use it as a weapon, and he didn't. He didn't get to use it, and Gunther eventually took control. And then he was hitting Jevon Evans with that sleeper hold, the very hold he's used to put out everybody that he's hit it with. But as he's hitting the sleeper hold on Jevon Evans, Dragon Lee comes out. He runs in and blasts Gunther with the ring bell, completely neutralizing him and beating him up. After what happened to him from Gunther, basically hanging him off the apron a couple weeks ago, Dragon Lee is getting payback on Gunther. I'm sure that'll end up being a blow-off match between him and Gunther now. The interference wasn't teased beforehand. It caught everybody off guard. I don't think people were expecting Dragon Lee in this one. Gunther got out of the picture. Dominic went for the 619 and even tried a frog splash. But Jevon Evans smartly moved out of the way and landed his classic OG cutter for the win. Surprisingly, Jevon Evans gets the win. I am so happy they decided to go with this. It's obvious that Gunther was not going to get pinned here and that was going to happen to take him out of the equation. A Dragon Lee kind of attack. But, all in all, the right guy won. Jevon Evans is the feature. I'm glad we're putting some young faces in there with some old faces. I think that's great. He's going to join Randy Orton, LA Knight, and Cody Rhodes. So, 4 spots have been filled out for both the men and the women. And on SmackDown, which I will be discussing here in a minute, we'll figure out the 5th spot. And then next week's podcast, we'll have all 6 spots for the chamber matches filled in, with 2 more qualifying matches to go. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and kick off Friday Night SmackDown with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes opens our show, and before he can say anything at all, Jacob Fatu comes out to join him and says that Cody wouldn't even be talking about the chamber match if it wasn't for Drew McIntyre, and that Jacob had both Cody and Sami Zayn beat, and Cody knows it. However, Fatu is focused on Drew McIntyre and calls him out to the ring. But SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis comes out instead and says that he's given Drew the night off to protect the main event of WrestleMania. So Nick Aldis has got the same idea as Adam Pearce. We're trying to protect our champions so that our main events of WrestleMania can remain the same, and that nothing crazy changes, nothing crazy happens. But lo and behold, look who shows up. We hear a certain Scottish accent, which means Drew McIntyre has shown up anyway. Drew says that he loves SmackDown so much that he bought the entire suite up in the stands to watch it. He then calls out Jacob Fatu, saying that he's all bark and no bite. And Drew just does whatever he wants. Drew says he's got all bark and no bite instead of all gas and no brakes. This causes Jacob Fatu to lose it. He sends his way up there. He's trying to get to Drew, but security is stopping him. Aldis eventually calms Fatu down and sends security to get Drew out of the building. Aldis talks to Fatu right in his face, saying, "Look, man, I get you're upset. I'll get you a match against Drew McIntyre, but for right now, what you're doing here tonight, you cannot do." Fatu understands, at least for the moment, and walks away. Cody Rhodes is in the ring during all this, by the way. He's still in the ring. He finished. He's the one that gets the last word. He picks up his mic again and calls out Drew McIntyre and says, "Drew, the world is against you because you're an asshole. It's not because you're you. It's because you're an asshole." So, again, that last little segment with Cody and Drew, where Drew's holding the title up, Cody's on the top rope, like, it's those subtle things that we see that help us suggest that we'll probably end up getting Cody and Drew at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. But Chamber hasn't happened yet, so we don't know. We cut to our first backstage segment of Friday Night SmackDown with the United States Champion, Carmelo Hayes. He's getting ready for his Elimination Chamber qualifying match tonight, and Ilya Dragunov comes in to talk to him. He hypes him up in a very intense manner, saying he's going to win tonight, and then win the Chamber, and then become WWE Champion. Because he's him, and Melo don't miss. So he's actually hyping him up. He believes that Melo's going to go all the way. Just not with the United States Championship, because once they do get their match, Aldis rain checked it last week. We don't know when it's going to happen. It didn't happen tonight. But he basically says he's going to go do all those things, but he's just not going to be the United States champion. And wishes him luck. They had a little friendly exchange between the two. I would like to see Ilya Dragunov with that United States title and see Carmelo Hayes in that world title picture eventually. You know, I wouldn't mind that at all. Ilya Dragunov comes out. You know, he was getting ready for his matchup against one of the MFTs in Tama Tonga, who's actually really been on a roll the last few weeks on SmackDown. He's gotten a few wins, so maybe they're pushing him, maybe they're not. I don't know. But I love the intensity that both guys bring here. Ilya, of course, brings his own unique brand of intensity, I think. I don't think there's anyone quite like him. He's just super fun to watch. His hits are super precise. He always makes things look tough. He always makes things look like they're hard hitting. And it makes you wonder sometimes if it was a real hit or not, you know? Tonga gets a strong start in the early going, but Ilya is that underdog kind of babyface who can take all kinds of punishment and keep fighting. He's got that, like, my heart is of a lion type mentality. He doesn't want to give up in the face of adversity. He's not gonna quit. The match is a great back and forth the more it goes on, but it ends with another Tama Tonga cutthroat for the win due to MFT distraction, but this is not over. MFT leader Solo Sikoa grabs the mic and says, "He ain't playing. Did y'all think I was playing?" Things like that. He said it like a few times. He says he's coming for it all. And then Ilya Dragunov really jumps up from behind him, mic in hand, and just starts pounding on him. Not a good idea when you've got four other guys in the ring on top of the leader. So it's eventually a 5-on-1. Ilya's getting stomped out. But eventually he gets some backup, right? Matt Cardona and Apollo Crews come out. They try to help even the odds, but Talatonga just wipes them out. And the arena then turns to black. Just when you think it's over, it's not over. We see Uncle Howdy, aka Bo Dallas. He tells Solo Sikoa in his little Wyatt family VHS tape. He tells Solo Sikoa that he uses his family as a crutch, and that he's really a shining light, that he ought to show that he can do things on his own, and challenges him, presumably, to a match next week before the Wyatt 6 static cuts to black. So, I imagine we'll be getting Uncle Howdy versus Solo Sikoa, the leader of the Wyatt 6, versus the leader of the MFTs next week on SmackDown. They didn't, I don't know if they confirmed it or not, but I imagine that it's happening. We get another backstage segment where we have Byron Saxton interviewing Randy Orton about the upcoming Elimination Chamber match and how it's going to feel having to go against his former friend, not former friend, one of his best friends and mentor-mentee relationship, Cody Rhodes. And before Randy can really even answer, Aleister Black shows up and talks about how he still wants to see that vicious side of Orton, that 2009 side of Orton, that COVID version of Orton where he was kicking legends in the skull. That's the kind of version that Aleister Black wants to see come out of Randy Orton. I can see where WWE is trying to do. I think they're trying to make Aleister Black and Zelina the version of Karrion Kross and Scarlett that they didn't believe in. Like they're trying to replicate what Kross and Scarlett did by trying to like get this couple together that just wants to get into your head at all times. That's basically what Aleister Black and Zelina do on a weekly basis. Is just mentally mess with their opponents at all times. He wants Randy that was punting people left and right, leaving them in hospital beds. And Black wants to get into Randy's head to bring that side back out. Randy replies with the idea that the only version that he needs right now to beat Aleister Black is the one that he's looking at. And that's the 2026 Randy Orton. That's the Randy Orton we know right now. He doesn't need to pull back in those bag of tricks. He can beat his ass the way he is. And challenges him to a match for tonight, the main event. And Black accepts. So for the main event of SmackDown tonight, we got Randy Orton and Aleister Black. So that's a solid main event on any show, right? Can't go wrong with that. We then cut to WWE Women's Champion Jade Cargill walking her way out to the ring, aura farming as usual. She says that she defends her title on her own time and says that Jordynne Grace tried her best, but it just wasn't good enough. She then calls out Liv Morgan, saying that she'll be on Raw next week in her hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. Liv will be making her WrestleMania decision, apparently, that day. Maybe. That's what Jade said. I mean, Jade said she will be making her decision on Monday. I mean, maybe. I doubt she will. I really I doubt it. I think Liv's got time. I'm sure she'll keep riding this thing out. So, I mean, you can hope that she does, certainly. Jade finishes by calling out the other women in the chamber match and saying that no matter who wins it and faces her at WrestleMania, no matter who it ends up being, she will walk out of it the champion because she is that bitch. And on her way to backstage, Charlotte Flair comes out. She's coming out for her qualifying match, making her entrance, and Jade just gets all up in her face, starts yelling at her, and they have another woo off. They were wooing at each other, woo, woo, woo. And Jade walks away, and so that's an interesting little scuffle on her way out. Jade really doesn't give a shit, right? Jade's all about her business. She's all about being the greatest. And I can't even fault that for her. I really like what they've done with Jade. They made her like a silent killer. Like she doesn't even say much. She just gets it done. So we already saw Charlotte Flair come out for this qualifier. Kiana James and Nia Jax are her opponents, and this match exceeded my expectations in a good way. I think it was a good match. I think it didn't end with one person being better than the other two. And it had another surprise winner, one I wasn't expecting to have win, but I'm happy she did, honestly. I was personally wanting Charlotte Flair to win because I wanted to see the best friend dynamic kind of continue in the Elimination Chamber and see if it was gonna expand or not. But they'll eventually get down that route. Even though I wanted Charlotte Flair to win, it was surprisingly Kiana James. She ended up getting the win by a surprise roll up after Charlotte had Nia Jax locked in on a figure eight submission or figure eight where she's like handstanding and doing this crazy. So Kiana snuck up and stole a pinfall. So she will end up being in the chamber match and will join Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka, who qualified on Raw. So now we've got 5 women decided for the field. One more spot remains in the chamber. We then cut to my favorite segment of the night, maybe my favorite segment of the week. Anytime Kit Wilson's on television, I just love it. Before he gets absolutely mauled, Kit Wilson and Oba Femi, before their match, this match kind of got started last week after Kit Wilson read Oba a poem that Oba didn't really like. And so now we have this match, and so now apparently Kit has another poem to read Oba Femi, and it is titled An Ode to Oba Femi. And I'm going to get my British accent back on, and we're going to read this thing word for word, because I love this stuff. This stuff is entertaining. Oba Femi, forgive my doubt. I now see the greatness that people are talking about. You're impressive, incredible, born to reign, with all these people chanting your name. Oba, I thought you were a brute, but now I know that's not fair. Because now when I look in your eyes, Oba, I see a little teddy bear. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Oba loves this one too. He says it was very nice, and he wants Kit to read another one. Read another one. He's like really wanting to read another. He wants Kit to read another poem really bad, and he just knows damn well that Kit just wrote that up before the show started just to try and get on his good side. And he knows there's a bad one in there somewhere, so he's like demanding Kit Wilson to read another poem. So he does. He reads another poem. Oh. It's called Nine Things I Hate About Men. Oh boy. Here we go. In Kit Wilson quotes. I hate how they think being loud means they are strong. I hate how they think they are never wrong. Toxic! I hate how they act with no shame or regrets, always comparing the size of their beef bayonets. Toxic! I hate how they strut like a self-made king. I hate every time they step in this ring. I hate their brand of masculinity. I hate the ruler. Oba, your toxicity. So obviously Oba's had enough of the games. He throws Kit Wilson in the ring and just dog walks him and wins this match in pretty short order. So I mean, look, Kit Wilson is just super entertaining. He proves it every week, and Oba's going to be the guy. He's not losing anytime soon. I just think this was a very entertaining segment. I think Kit Wilson has the future well within his grasp, despite all the hardships that have happened with his partner. Pretty deadly. I believe he's got a chance. But we got to another backstage segment where we have found out that the backstage mystery package has indeed arrived to Friday Night SmackDown per Adam Pearce's request on Raw. And Aldis has the same confused, perplexed look that Pierce had before, and he doesn't know what to do with it either. So he tells his security guy to send it right on back to Adam Pearce. Nobody's opening this box. We don't know what's in this box. And apparently, at some point in the night, Johnny Gargano's depressed ass was lying on that box. You know, everybody was laughing at the guy, and he's just lying on that box. Like, don't even get me started about Johnny Gargano, bro. Nick Aldis wants it set back to Adam Pearce, so I imagine it'll be ping pong back onto Monday Night Raw. I do not know what is in that box. I will talk about that box right now, actually, because I don't believe there's any more to talk about the box other than that backstage segment. So here's my number one theory because it's affecting both general managers. I believe that it's not Seth Rollins. I think Seth Rollins and the Hooded Figure are a separate entity. I believe Seth Rollins is behind the Hooded Figure attacks. So I think we can limit that to him. The box, I don't know. I really don't know. It could be anything. It really could be. A lot of people are hoping that it's Chris Jericho. But from what I've heard, his contract with AEW is frozen. So I don't know if he can make any moves yet to go anywhere. Um, and then I've heard Danhausen might show up. So I mean, it's a toss up, right? I don't know. I think it definitely ties into his storyline. It could be The Rock. It could be the final boss. I think for right now, there's nothing in it. I think it's like a symbolic thing, just to say, don't open until the Elimination Chamber. So I have no idea. I have no idea. That's going to be a big payoff, whatever it is. I hope, right? I hope it's worth something, worth a damn. But this box will remain mysterious, and I guess I'll probably be talking about it on next week's episode too, and the episode after that. It's quite a mysterious box. You've got to know. You've got to know. We get a match with Tiffany Stratton and Alba Fire, and this match featured a lot of back and forth offense. Tiffany Stratton hits her acrobatic stuff, her big strikes, Fire countered with her heavy moves and a tornado DDT. And then Chelsea Green had her ankle elevated again with her brace, and she is out there in a wheelchair. So I like it. Let's keep it. Let's keep it going. I like it. But at one point, Green stood up. She stood up. Oh, this girl has a heart of gold, right? Gosh, she has the tenacity of a I don't know. She just doesn't quit, right? But this created a distraction for Fire, and it didn't really work out for her anyway, because Stratton ended up hitting her prettiest moonsault ever to get the win on Alba Fire, and Tiffany Stratton gets some momentum heading into her Elimination Chamber match coming up in just a few weeks. Here, in my mind, we cut to a backstage segment. This was probably one of the more interesting segments of the entire week. We got Sami Zayn, who's upset again, right? He lost the WWE Championship opportunity at the Royal Rumble. He lost his qualifying match last week to Cody Rhodes. It hasn't been going right for him. Cody Rhodes comes up to Sami and says that Sami has nothing to be ashamed of. That match could have gone any kind of way. But Sami knows that. He says that if anyone should be ashamed, it's Cody Rhodes. Because he tried to help him. Sami tried to help him when Drew interfered. And Cody still hit crossroads on Sami Zayn to punch his ticket into the chamber match. So that even when Sami tried to help Cody get rid of Drew McIntyre, make him a non-factor, Cody still took advantage of Sami and hit him for the win and get to WrestleMania. Cody says that what happened was chaos, and all that he did was took advantage of an opportunity to win when it presented itself. And maybe that's why Sami hasn't become champion himself. Whew, that's a zinger right there. Sami says that it's easy to say when you're the golden boy of the WWE and you're handed everything, on top of being able to finish your story already. Sami Zayn's been trying to finish his story for 10 years. He's been trying to be the WWE champion for 10 years. And he's won every other title. He's done everything else but that major title. That's the one thing that's held him back. Cody says it's not his fault or the system's fault, but Sami's fault alone. And he walks away. Sami's throwing things. He's upset. He's mad that Cody would even say such a thing. This is the first time they've had some sort of real head-to-head beef. But Sami eventually he calms down and jogs up to Cody and apologizes for what he said. Just say that, or for him just to say that he's had some help along the way of being the champion and being the guy. And Cody understands this, and he says to Sami, he pats him on the shoulder, he says he doesn't forget. So, that could be an innocuous, open message. We don't really know what that could mean. I think that's super interesting. Maybe Sami turns heel soon. Maybe Cody turns heel soon. I think either guy could use it for sure. I think they'd be way better off. We get to our first qualifying match of SmackDown for the men with Carmelo Hayes, Damian Priest, and Trick Williams in a triple threat Elimination Chamber qualifying match. And it delivered chemistry. Obviously, with the Trick Mello history between those two, very documented. Damian Priest kind of being like the big brute in between these two was pretty neat. Their NXT history, though, Trick and Mello is like classic stuff. So I'm glad they got to finally throw that together. And I hope one day they explore it further, on the main roster as kind of like a carryover from NXT. I feel like that'll end up happening. Trick Williams stole this night, right? He hit consecutive trick shot finishers to pin Damian Priest. He and Jevon Evans are the future, the two young bucks of this thing. I love the fact that we're putting newer faces in there, newer names in there. Trick Willie is gonna have a great time in the chamber. He's gonna join Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, and Jevon Evans. So now we have the field filled out, or not filled out, but both fields are both at 5 now for the Elimination Chamber matches. And next week on Raw and SmackDown and on the Rasslin Report, we'll have those 6 spots filled. So we then have a match with Rhea Ripley and Julia. This thing was a hard-hitting, physical bout that saw both women trading offense and momentum throughout. But just as it looked like things were building towards a clear finish with Julia, or with Rhea, it ended in disqualification due to interference from Nia Jackson, Lash Legend, aka, I guess this is their new name, the Irresistible Forces. That's what they call themselves. They beat up Rhea Ripley, and this match is a throwaway. It's obvious we're gonna get some more Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus the Irresistible Forces eventually. That's what I mean. They might take the tag titles from Rhea and Io. Those might be the two that do it. But then we cut to our main event of SmackDown and our final little segment of Raw and SmackDown this week. Randy Orton versus Aleister Black. In the main event, Randy Orton and Aleister Black gave a banger. They put it all on the line. It was a gritty, strike-heavy contest. Both guys hit their signature stuff. Randy Orton hits his RKOs. Aleister Black hits his Black Mass kicks to the face. The match momentum shifted when Drew McIntyre once again interfered in the match. He lays out Randy Orton and he holds his WWE title up. Drew doesn't even care anymore. He's just interfering in everyone's matches. Black capitalized on this distraction and hit a Black Mass finisher. And, Cody Rhodes comes out to try to stop this from his mentor being beat up any further. And I like that Aleister Black got a major win here. He got a major win over a legend. I'm super stoked for him. Aleister Black has every bit of potential in the world. So, great choice. Even though Drew kind of helped mess things up at the end of the day. So, all right. With that being said, overall, I think Raw and SmackDown delivered again, right? I think who did better this week? Honestly, I think Raw did a little better this week. SmackDown did okay, but I think Raw just had a few more things that just edged it out a little more. But both shows delivered, so that's what you needed. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to break into our last segment of the podcast, News Break. All right, this is a relatively short week, but every story in it is important. So I've got 3 stories for you lined up today. The first one coming from the EST of the WWE, Bianca Belair, who is currently recovering from a severe long-term knuckle injury. I'll show it to you on screen. If you're a little squeamish, this is a warning. This thing looks really tough. She was holding off on surgery for it because it was supposed to get better, but it never did. Um, she suffered from it last year at WrestleMania, and so now that it's clearly not gotten better, she's gotten surgery on it and is, I think, now recovering. I don't know how long the recovery process will take. We don't know if she'll end up missing WrestleMania 42, but all prayers for Bianca Belair. We've missed her on television. We want to see her back. She brings such a unique presence to the women, and yeah, best of health for our EST. Earlier in the week, WWE lost a longtime director in Kerwin Stifles. I think it's Kerwin Sylphies. I think it's Kerwin Sylphies. He passed away earlier this week at the age of 75 after a private battle with severe several health issues, and he was part of the company since 1985. He's been a producing director for over 30 years, so they lost a longtime member. He was honored on this last Friday's episode of SmackDown. Um, Member of the family lost, so thoughts and prayers to the family of Kerwin Seif. I can't say it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sylphies. I think it's Sylphies. Kerwin Sylphies. Kerwin Sylphies. And then our third and final story comes from WWE Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio. He was just on Cody Rhodes' What Do You Want to Talk About podcast, and he was talking about his daughter, Aaliyah Mysterio, training to maybe get into the ring. Mysterio revealed that Aaliyah had been expressing a desire to jump into the ring, quote unquote, for approximately 2 years. But he mandated that she prioritize her academic career first. Aaliyah wanted to get into the ring. I guess she's had the itch to get into the ring. But Ray, I guess, wanted her to finish out college, or yeah, I think college. So she has, and now she wants to get into the ring. So that's super exciting. Maybe we'll end up with entire Mysterio family lineage in the WWE. We already have her brother Dom, and she's been involved in storylines before, so I can see it happening, and I would love to see it happen. You know, it'd be great to see the family tradition continue with Aaliyah and Dom. It's like crazy, right? But we'll keep an eye on that, and maybe one day we'll see her in the ring. But, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, I believe that is the end of my Rasslin Report. I would like to thank everybody once again for sticking around this far, and thank you for listening. Woo!